Town Biz. All right, so Terence Crawford said basically he has no interest in fighting Canelo Alvarez. Basically, Terence Crawford is making his rounds. Basically, he's talking to a lot of different media outlets. On his victory versus Errol Spence, his one-sided beatdown of Errol Spence and how he punished Errol Spence for basically 9 rounds. He was on TMZ, if I'm not mistaken, TMZ Sports. And when asked, would he be interested in a fight with Canelo, Terence Crawford said, nah, he's not going to go that direction. He said because Canelo is 3 weight classes above him. And he felt that would be asking a lot of him to do. Listen, like I said before, I know a lot of people, and at least 2 people have said that Terence Crawford should consider fighting Canelo Alvarez. I see no reason, and he doesn't have to. Just like it's really no pressure on Anyway or any new to fight Tank Davis unless he wants to. You know, I really don't. I really don't care for people skipping 2 weight classes, because usually it doesn't fare well for them. Just like I don't think it'll fare well for Tank Davis if he goes up to 147 and goes directly into Terence Crawford, because wow, I just don't think it would. I don't think he would fare well. I know he said it'll take him 6 rounds, but I think it'll take 4 rounds for Terence Crawford to wear Tank down and hurt Tank. And I think Tank would get did bad by Terence Crawford. But getting back to Canelo, as I said before, when I did a couple of interviews discussing this matter, people just came out of nowhere talking about, well, Canelo could move back down. Like I said before, they would have to find some common ground, even for Bud to probably consider it. You talking about, at best, if Bud was to consider it, Bud would have to probably move up. If they was willing to do maybe 157, then maybe it might would interest Bud, and then Canelo say, hey, I'll move down 11 pounds and Bud can move up 10 pounds and we could meet somewhere in the middle. And then maybe possibly I think Bud might have interest, but to ask Bud to go up to 168, that's asking a lot of him, you know. But I know people gonna say, well, Errol Spence was talking about fighting Canelo. Do anybody think at this point Errol Spence is gonna win a fight versus Canelo? I know I made a video saying that Errol Spence might actually have a chance against Canelo, but I was just being sarcastic. I have to admit that was one of the rare times that I was clickbait, and I don't think Errol Spence can do nothing with Canelo. I'm sorry, I just don't. I just don't. But it was funny. Bernie was implying that they was ready to feed, that Al might have been ready to feed Errol Spence to Canelo. So basically, it was either Canelo or Terence Crawford. So for Errol Spence to sit up there and say, oh, thank me for making this fight happen and all this kind of stuff, Bud ain't got to thank you, man. Bud was already established, undisputed. And that's another thing that bothered me about Errol Spence's arrogance towards Terence Crawford. And for people to say that Errol Spence was acting like a humble guy, he kept saying Terence Crawford hadn't fought nobody. I don't know if it was because he was trying to motivate himself, and get himself psyched up for what he probably foresaw what was coming, that he basically predicted what was coming, which was going to be a one-sided, butt kicking via Terence Crawford. So, maybe that's was part of his motivation. And I also think that Al Heyman was pissed off at Errol Spence for basically, you know, going against him when he told him to fight Keith Thurman, and he was going, fight Keith Thurman. Listen, I was listening to Corsino, a dude I hadn't listened to in a while, because Corsino, man, that stuff that happened it happened like a while ago, and I know everybody was pissed off at Corsino, but it was a good video. But Corsino was saying something that I was implying that I was trying to tell people to heed the word of town biz when I was trying to give you hints. I truly believe that Al Heyman did not believe that Errol Spence could beat Terence Crawford. I just don't. I just think he believed it, and I think to a certain degree, I believe that Derek James believed it as well, because Derek James was talking about all this stuff about, before the buzz around this fight really started to happen. He was talked about, well, they didn't see no reason to fight Terence Crawford because he didn't have no storyline, whatever the hell that means. So, you just saw how coy and disrespectful and dismissive they was of Terence Crawford. The whole notion. Now, I give Adrian Broner credit. He went in there and gave Terence Crawford his props after Terence Crawford destroyed Spence. And as I said before, to the Errol Spence butt boys, you thought I wasn't going to keep coming? But like I said before, people are going to look for new narratives. I know somebody going to try to make this fake, so-called sophisticated, complex video basically breaking down on why Terence Crawford should fight Canelo. Because like I said, these dudes are mascots and they're groupies. Because now they need a new guy to rally behind because of their hatred towards Terence Crawford. Anything to try to make it look like he's ducking somebody. I promise you there's going to be some cornball, and watch out for him, that's going to try to say Terence Crawford is ducking Tank. They're going to say Terence Crawford is ducking Ennis, and that's not the case. Ennis had a chance. Ennis was going to get sent to offer. He had a chance. And he chose to go another direction. Ennis is not ready for Terence Crawford. He really isn't. He really isn't. I'm just reading some of the comments. So, but I'm just telling the truth. Terence Crawford, he doesn't have to go up to 168. And I'm debunking that now. The same way when people were saying, well, and I did videos about this, saying maybe Manny Pacquiao should consider fighting Canelo. And Manny Pacquiao did an interview saying, no, I'm not fighting Canelo. And to tell you the truth, Manny Pacquiao, he didn't have to. So Terence Crawford, he doesn't have to fight Canelo. At the end of the day, let's just keep it a buck. They had weight classes for a reason. I know now all of a sudden they, everybody been pitching these, these fantasy matchups between guys that's like either 2 weight classes above or 2 weight classes down, and that they should move down and try to fight this dude. And like I said before, probably if you ask Canelo probably would look at you like he was like he was crazy. The reason why he brought up Errol Spence, and Canelo said it himself. He said he think that he's a little too big for Errol Spence. He said Errol Spence would never be able to beat him. And he meant it. Hold on, you guys. I'll be right back. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. All right, I'm back. No, but the reason why everybody is the reason why, like I said, there may be some people, and I'm just telling you right now, if they start making videos saying that Terence Crawford should fight Canelo, it's just because they want to see Terence Crawford get beat so bad. But, and the thing is, this is what I'm saying about these fake super pro black dudes. They want to see Canelo beat a black fighter so bad to where they want to rally behind this. Yeah, and I am making it about race. Because these are the same people that'll question somebody or who have questioned somebody's blackness due to their support of Terence Crawford. But they'll start pitching that notion and start putting those videos out. And anybody that put that video out, they should not be taken serious. Because like I said before, Terence Crawford, he doesn't have to fight Canelo. He doesn't have to. Terence Crawford has earned the right to fight whoever he wants to fight. If Terence Crawford elects not to go directly into a rematch with Errol Spence, even though he's contractually obligated, he doesn't have to contractually fight him right away. He can take another fight. He could pay Errol Spence $1 million step aside money. In which, if I was Errol Spence, I would take it. Because all he gonna do is get wrecked again. Yeah, it's next level hatred, and it's pathetic, and it make me sick to my stomach. But no, Terence Crawford doesn't have to fight. He doesn't have to fight Canelo. Just like Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao had earned the right to fight who he wanted to fight. That's why I never really gave Manny Pacquiao problems about who he wanted to fight, because he earned the right. And Terence Crawford has earned the right. And for anybody that's listening to this channel, you can go on any other channel that you may listen to and just break it down and just tell the truth. Terence Crawford has earned the right. He beat the guy that y'all said couldn't beat, that y'all said he couldn't beat. He beat Errol Spence, and he beat him with ease. Errol Spence got T-Grizzlied. Terence Crawford did it with no effort. And that's why it's so hard for the Errol Spence Bud Boys to accept what happened. And that's why they sitting up here having these meltdowns on their channel and sitting up screaming at people and just looking stupid, sitting in front of their cheap, $80, Goodwill couches, making videos. So talking about, well, they'll debate. People debate for what? There's nothing to debate. What is there to debate about a one-sided fight? There's nothing to debate. But they still want to hang on to this notion that Errol Spence has a chance at 154. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't. Second fight is going to be worse, especially if he jumps right into it. Hey, Ropes, what's going on? Crawford could retire Ropes and be possibly a top 10 all-time great. I think Terence Crawford is in that, you know what I'm saying? He already in that GOAT discussion. Terence Crawford is in that GOAT discussion. I know that it's going to be hard for some of these Floyd Mayweather fans and some of these Muhammad Ali fans to accept it, but Terence Crawford is in that GOAT discussion. It's true. I said discussion. I don't have to, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to sit up there and say that Muhammad Ali is the greatest of all time, because to tell you the truth, sorry, Nico, I never thought Muhammad Ali was the greatest fighter of all time. I thought he was one of the best, but I can make an argument that he isn't. Because I'm sorry, I got to keep it 100, and I'm going to just say this about Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, to me, left himself open for discussion about him being the greatest of all time when basically he lost to Leon Spinks. Leon Spinks only was like 6 professional fights in, and Muhammad Ali lost. Now, let's just keep it a buck. I know people gonna sit up there because this is what people do. Because Muhammad Ali have a lot of diehard apologists too. But Muhammad Ali, when you lose to a dude that got 6 professional fights, I'm sorry, to me, you ain't no GOAT. And I don't want to hear about, well, Muhammad Ali didn't train properly for that fight. That's on him. That's Muhammad Ali's fault. So I'm sorry. To me, that puts a question mark on you being the greatest of all time. Because see, people don't want to have that discussion. And like I said before, I'll say this much: I met Nico quite a few times and talked to Nico on camera and off camera. Nico and his people, they have thick skin. So it's not that I'm attacking Muhammad Ali, but I'm just telling the truth. And I'm sorry, you got to say it. Well, yeah, Chase, you listen. Listen, whose fault was that Muhammad Ali didn't train properly and he lost to Leon Spink? And you've been hearing the same thing, which I'm gonna talk about Steve Fulton. Steve Fulton wants to run it back with anyway. But now there's reports coming out allegedly, and I will use that word allegedly, but a lot of people have been saying that Steve Fulton didn't properly train and that he was half-assing everything going into that fight with the monster. You heard he didn't properly train, and then based off how he fought, it looked like he didn't properly train. I guess he thought, well, I'm bigger than this dude. He's coming up in weight, and I don't think I don't think he's going to be able to handle me. Listen, it's like this, whether you motivated by a fight or not, you train as if you fighting the best guy in the division or you fighting the top 10 pound per pound fighter. So that's on Fulton if he didn't properly train. So for people that's sitting up there making excuses for him, if he didn't properly train for the monster, that's on him. That's his fault, and he deserved to lose. And you just gotta say it. You know, one thing about Terence Crawford, he properly trained. He go up to Colorado and train in that high altitude. And like I keep telling you, man, when you in Colorado, man, it's hard to breathe out there, man. It's hard to breathe out there because of that altitude. It feel like, I mean, for real, it feel like if you know what I'm saying? It feel like if you walk up the street, it feel like you walk like a mile. Like if you walk it, because it's, you know what I'm saying? So make sure you don't have a bad ticker or you don't have breathing issues if you go to Colorado. Well, that's why Bud doesn't, that's why Bud, as you can see, he's always conditioned and prepared to go the full 12 rounds. Bud doesn't gas in fights. That's another thing I noticed. And I think that's the effects of him training up there. I guess he knows how to control his breathing. And then Bud is a guy, Bud doesn't throw like, in most cases, 100 punches around. He's a precise puncher and he tries to be an accurate puncher. So that's one of the things that fooled everybody when people was talking about Errol Spence's work rate. Oh man, Bud need to be worried about that work rate. Can he slow it down? What did I tell you? If somebody throws 100 punches to somebody that's throwing 50 punches or throwing half, if that person that's throwing 50 punches is accurate and he's landing and he's pacing himself when he's landing his punches and he's throwing hard shots, that'll slow that down. And that's pretty much what went on with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. He slowed it down. He knew he was faster than Spence. He knew he could punch with Spence and he could beat him to the punch and he knew he could counter him. And that's why he was so successful. Because what set up the first shot was like a counter. He was coming off the counter when he got the first knockdown. So there you have it. So just analyze, and like I said, a lot of people took fool's gold. It was like that gold that they set for you to find when you go to those fake gold exhibitions, when you want to, like you searching for gold and stuff. And it was fool's gold because when I kept hearing people like trying to break down this fight and how Errol Spence was supposed to win, all they kept talking about was his work rate. They really wasn't talking about how he was going like systematically break. All he kept saying was, "Oh, I'm gonna break his wheel." Well, guess what? The only person's wheel who got broke was Errol Spence, and the only person that got broke up was Errol Spence. The only person that was on his way to the hospital was Errol Spence. Because like I said before, for the people that's sitting up here putting out that notion and putting out that narrative that Errol Spence was prematurely stopped and that Harvey Doc prematurely stopped the fight. Did y'all not see Errol Spence doing the stanky leg and wobbling? He was finna get knocked down again. I'm talking about Errol Spence was finna get slumped. He was finna get slumped. So Harvey Doc did Errol Spence a favor. I don't know how many times I got to say this. You can be in denial all you want, but it's factual. Well, I already knew that Terence Crawford was going to win the fight. Now that it's over with, I told many people behind the scenes, because if I would have picked the winner, then I would have had to go through even more turmoil than when I went through and being harassed and all that kind of stuff. But I always knew that Errol Spence would lose to Terence Crawford. And I always knew that Terence Crawford would stop Errol Spence if they fought. Y'all should have knew who I was going with. I kept telling you that I had a vision how that fight was going to end. I already knew that Terence Crawford was going to beat Errol Spence. I knew he would. And I knew I knew if they fought, I knew Terence Crawford was going to stop him. That fight wasn't going the distance. And if Errol Spence won, I thought Errol Spence had more of a chance of stopping getting a decision over Terence Crawford than stopping him. Like, where was everybody getting this stuff that Terence Crawford didn't have the stamina to keep up? Terence Crawford has never gassed in any fights. So where was people getting this stuff from? And like I said before, how many people? So for the people that was putting these videos up talking about Errol Spence put a dent in the heavy bag. Well, Terence Crawford put a dent in Errol Spence's face. He put plenty of dents. And I was just laughing. It was just, like, for real. It was just hilarious when people was making these videos. Errol Spence did y'all see that? And I'm sorry, Ellie, you played yourself when you put out that video talking about, look at the dent that Errol Spence put in the heavy bag. So everybody was like, ooh, it's over. Oh man, Terence Crawford. Oh man, Errol Spence is going to break Terence Crawford's orbital bone. Like I said, the only thing that got dents put in it was Errol Spence's forehead and his face. That's the only hey, Errol Spence put dents in the heavy bag, Bud put dents in Errol Spence's face. Well, Errol Spence was the one that said, "Hey, go get a belt. We can fight." When Terence Crawford got a belt, he told him he gonna take the easy route. He said he gonna take. He said, "Of course." He said, "Of course, I'm gonna take the easy route." Like I said, that should have told people right then and there. That told me all I needed to know about Errol Spence. When he said that, he should. Bob Aaron was standing right there. You know what Errol Spence should have said? Oh man, of course I'm gonna collect all the bills and then I'm gonna come fight. You know what Errol Spence should have said right then and there? Bob Aaron was standing right there. He should have said, you know what, Errol? What if I call Al Heyman this Monday? If Errol Spence would have said, yeah, let's do it. Errol Spence should have said, you know what? I ain't taking the easy route. That was his chance right then and there. So for him, making it look like he did Terence Crawford a favor by making this fight, it's just laughable. Errol Spence right there and there, he should have said, you know what, Bob? I'm so confident I could beat this guy. Forget all this stuff. Call Al on Monday. You didn't hear Errol Spence say that. When he said, "Oh, I'm gonna fight Sean Porter," they already told me who I'm gonna fight. He gave y'all the out. I mean, for real, he gave y'all basically the blueprint. He gave y'all an outlook on what he was gonna do. He gave y'all a map. He said it right there to there. He said, "I'm gonna fight Mikey Garcia, then I'm gonna fight Sean Porter and somebody else." He said he gonna knock them out. He said he gonna collect all the belts and then he gonna come. But Terence Crawford, like he said, you smart. He saying, why not fight me now? He should have said when Terence Crawford said, I'll fight you right now. He should have said, Bob, call Al Heyman on Monday. Bump that. We gonna skip that stuff. So then guess what? He fights Terence Crawford, which I think 4 years ago he might have would have had a better chance with Terence Crawford because Terence Crawford wasn't accustomed to 147 as of late because I think he only had fought Jeff Horn or maybe Benavides Jr. I can't remember exactly, who he had fought when Ellie filmed that video, but he hadn't had that much experience. I think that would have been Errol Spence's best chance, but I kept telling people as Terence Crawford got accustomed with the weight, he grew into that weight very comfortably. And nobody didn't want to hear what I had to say when I was just telling people the truth. Errol Spence should have made that fight back then and there. And that was his chance. And he let this fight marinate. Now I understand, we all know what happened in 2020. But 2021, what no excuse why that fight shouldn't have happened. Earl, should have happened last year, 2022. Should have happened last year, but they was playing with the money. They was trying to put all these obstacles in the way, and Bud took another fight, and everyone tried to make it look like he was sitting up there ducking Errol Spence, which he wasn't. He was trying to, stay busy. These people can keep making excuses. Well, at the end of the day, Errol Spence, that was the narrative they was pushing to try to say that Terence Crawford didn't deserve a fight when basically that was just, pushing the goalpost back. They was just basically throwing an obstacle in the way you know, trying to just stack the deck against Terence Crawford. So they never wanted Terence Crawford to be part of the PBC. So basically, Errol Spence had no choice. He didn't want to fight Keith Thurman. He elected not to fight Keith Thurman. And basically, he had to fight. He had no choice but to fight Terence Crawford. He had no choice. And for the most part, most people with common sense already knew who was prolonging the fight. It wasn't Terence Crawford, it was them. It always was them. Appreciate it. It always was the PBC that was prolonging the fight. It was never Terence Crawford. Bob Arum was willing to make the fight. They didn't want to do the fight for whatever reason. I don't know. It was because Bob Arum sued them for like antitrust for basically trying to monopolize, boxing. Basically, there was issues with them trying to, you know, allegedly keep PBC. PBC was allegedly trying to keep Top Rank from using certain venues and all that kind of stuff. And um, people had excuses about, well, they shouldn't do business with him because he sued them, that didn't make no kind of sense. Some of these people, like I said, was just being real petty about this situation. So it's, leading up to the fight, it's just a lot of bad history in between. But the PBC, I really don't think they wanted to make this fight because I just seen how they constantly was disrespecting Terence Crawford. They was not even acknowledging him as a champ at one time. He was always, on the outside looking in. And Bernie the Boxer said it himself, said they were trying to blackball him and stuff. So there you have it. But anyway, I'll be back with more. Appreciate you guys tapping in. I'm out.